this time I'd like to call this Employment Committee meeting to order. And the invocation, we would ask Ms. Fraley to do that for us, please.
Bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for this opportunity to be here today. Thank you for the blessings you've given each and every one of us. We ask your guidance in our decisions today, that they be for the betterment of the Cherokee Nation and the Cherokee people. God bless each person here today, that we do your will and live according to your will. And we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Fraley. Okay, Ms. Shelley, roll call.
Audra Connor.
Ahani.
Buell England.
Here.
Bill Von Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Meredith Fraley. Here. Don Garvin.
Honey.
Taylor King.
Honey.
John Keener. Jackie Bob Martin. Terry Callan Watts. Phil Cherokee. We have a quorum.
Okay. Next up will be approval of the February 13th meeting minutes.
Oh, no.
Did I pass it out?
We don't have it.
I passed them.
Well, okay, we'll hold up for a second and wait for those. While we're waiting, we'd like to welcome everyone this morning to the meeting. I'm sure we'll get to hear from most everybody. Anybody have a song to sing? Keither, you want to do?
Nobody here.
I just quote your line or two a while ago. You sang it.
Oh, no. You do have your tarot list in front of you if you want to. You now have time to scan over that.
Hey, Karen, why do you have more to sing? Joe's got a song right here. Just a line or two.
Joe, I think you can sing, can't you? Not what I heard?
My wife says I sing the blues all the time.
Probably her singing the blues.
I got a song.
Let's hear it.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
I'm glad to be an Okie from Mace County. But I got to come to Cherokee County to have a ball. All right.
Can you send me the copyright rights to that?
I'll give it to you. You know, it's pretty expensive.
We're on the record on it.
We are right.
I'm going to look for approval for the tarot certification.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the tarot certifications. Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
You done good.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Ed.
Move for approval. Minutes.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, minutes are approved. All right. First up on the reports will be Ms. Diane Kelly for Career Services and Employment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say that we had some real exciting events take place here in the last couple of weeks. About 3 weeks ago, we went to Mid-America to meet with Don Berger and his people at the industrial park in Mays County. And they had asked us to assist them with getting information out and working with them on their job fair. And we were very pleased because for several years we've been trying to work with Sanders, and basically it's we'll call you when we need you, and we felt like that we had made some leeway thanks to Meredith. But Melanie Dodge and about probably 12 other staff went up and worked at the job fair. That we had somewhere in the neighborhood of around 5,000 people come through that job fair last Thursday in the Mid-America Expo Center. The lady, Marsha Cunningham, who works with OESC, was just flabbergasted because Melanie kept telling her, if we send the flyers out and we get the flyers out in the 14-county area, you're going to have a lot of people show up. And she said, well, we just really want to keep it in this one area. But when people heard about the Gatorade plant, if you haven't seen it, drive up to the industrial park. It is the largest Gatorade plant in the United States. And for those of you that don't know anything about Gatorade, I'll tell you what the guy said when he did the presentation. He said that they're a subsidiary company of PepsiCo. And he said what we do in the wintertime is that we feed everybody Quaker Oats and give them oatmeal to warm them up. And then in between the winter and the summer, he said we give them Fritos and give them Pepsi. And then in the summertime, we give them Gatorade. So we're going to be working with Gary Creekmore and his staff and trying to recruit for the Gatorade plant there in Mid-America. They had close to 500 and something jobs that was open at this job fair. There was like 17 different booths. It started at 12 o'clock and went to 8 o'clock. And Melanie, where are you at? Right here. Right there. Melanie said that they got up there about 8:30 and kept telling Marcia that you're going to have people out in the parking lot before time to open the doors, and she didn't believe them. And she was just sitting there in awe. And Melanie said she had to tell her, go open the doors, let them in. And the floodgates opened, and they were that way most of the afternoon. And I was up that afternoon, later that afternoon, and we kept trying to tell them, you know, that you need to do this, you need to do that. And they said, oh, no, we've done this before. And I said, okay. So I think they learned. And Sanders was very complimentary. He came up and told me that he appreciated our staff being up there, and he said that they could not have pulled it off without our help. And our staff are to be commended. I think they worked from about 9, 10 o'clock till 8 o'clock that night. And it was very, very gratifying to see that many people show up.
Madam Chairman,
Oh, yes, Ms.
you
Reed.
might tell that the Gatorade is offering very competitive salaries for that particular area also. We have a lot of, they're going to hire a lot of people, and their first focus are on Cherokee's employees.
They were very complimentary of the area because they are a diverse company, and one of the things they do is they try to have different nationalities. And one of the areas that they seem to think that they're going to have problems with is they're going to have the Hispanics, they'll have the Native Americans, but where that's located, they will not have the black population like they think they will. So they wanted to make sure that they have a diverse company because that's what they promote throughout all of their businesses. I'd like to introduce Darren Buzzard. Darren is one of our interns through Cherokee Nation Enterprises, and he's been assigned through the internship program at CNE to our Terrell office. And he's been with us for about a month now. Yeah. And he's working with Ed, and he's going to be helping to set up some training for some of our Terrell businesses, and he's been working with Botech to try to identify what some of those areas are that we need some people trained in. So he's been working on that, and then today he's going to be working on assignment with me. Let's see, he's with us till what, May? Yes. Till May. May the 17th in Muskogee at the NSU Seminar Center. We're having our job fair for the clinic in Muskogee, and it'll be do you have flyers on that, or do you have anything you want to report on that? No?
Not at this time. We'll have flyers out next month. We're currently working on that, but we will be at NSU Muskogee, and we are going to be at the Seminar Center, and the hours will be from 10 till 6 which since school is going to be out, they're only there from 8 to 5, but they have agreed to work with us and let us stay open, so we would be able to have some opportunity for those folks who get off at 5 o'clock to be able to come by the job fair and to make application and go through the process. We're looking for maybe not as high a turnout as prior Gatorade job fair, but a good turnout.
What was the date?
May 17th. It's a Thursday.
Thank you.
We will also have one in June in the West Siloam Springs area. There is an old furniture store that Bill Langley owns, and he said that we could use that for our job fair, which is just right down from the casino. And we'll be putting in other businesses in that area. In August, we'll be in Catoosa. Last week, we were at the Northeast Economic Summit. And we're trying to look at the infrastructure for the areas, whether it be in the northern area or in the southern area, with the ports, the railway, OG&E, the Mid-America Industrial Park. We're looking at all the infrastructure and then bringing all of those players together so that we can promote Northeast Oklahoma as far as the economy here. When you look at commerce is promoting Tulsa and Oklahoma City, and they forget about us along this strip, and sometimes the counties along the Arkansas border are forgotten. And so we're working in a regional partnership, and that was kind of the springboard last week for us to start talking and dialoguing on that. And we're going to be working a lot closer with Northwest Arkansas because of the proximity of where our counties are. The job bank, Gwen is still working on getting that up and going. Our Indian-owned businesses, Angela and Nettie, will finish those counties. I think there's 2 counties that we still need to finish, and we'll have that listing and that book put together here in probably maybe the next month or so. I've got Kim Carroll here. She's got a handout for you on our Summer Youth Employment Program. I believe it was you, Councilwoman Watts, and Councilwoman Yargy that had asked about putting our application on the website. That is in the works. We also are going to have our 2-page application out at all of our field locations. The flyer is on the front. We're going to open the doors to our offices from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. for a 3-week window. During that time period, we are going to schedule a specific place and day where we are going to have maybe 3 times as many counselors there so that we can kind of have like a summer application fair so that we can get all of these applications taken within that 3-week window to determine whether or not we're going to put more students in literacy or more into the employment. We looked over our statistics from last year, and we identified that there should have probably been maybe 6 to 7 more literacy classes set up in the outlining area. And we're going to devote our resources to putting more teachers out there to work with these students and working with their reading, their math skills.
Oh, yes, Ms. Watts.
I did not have an opportunity to review this, but it's been in my mind. Did we put additional monies for those that are slightly over income for some of these employees?
What we did is we submitted for that through the SBC, and we're in the process of doing that.
If that's, we really need to do that. That needs to be an annual thing.
What we're going to do is include it in on our annual for next year, but we just didn't do it this year because it was just 8 weeks. So
I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Y'all have any questions? We assisted somewhere around 400 to 500 youth last year. We anticipate about that many this year, if not more. The other thing is,
I'm sorry, Diane. Mr. Marvin?
What's the situation on the truck driving school? Is that in this committee?
It's in the education committee, but I can.
Okay, that's all right. I'll wait.
Will you be in that committee? Vocational rehabilitation, James? This is Vocational Rehabilitation Month, and James Ballard is our director for Voc Rehab, and they are putting on a half-day workshop, and it will be the 29th of March over here at the complex, and they've got several vendors, and they've got a couple of speakers coming in, and James has got some handouts for all of you. because one of the things he wants everybody to remember is that there are people out there with special needs, and he's the person and his staff work with those people. And we want to make sure that you remember that when you're thinking about program services. For those of you that may not be aware, Juanita Sanders is on FMLA for 12 weeks. Juanita's husband, Robert, is undergoing chemotherapy treatments, and he needs around-the-clock care, and she has opted to go on leave for 12 weeks to be his primary caregiver. And during that time period, Kathleen Brown is stepped in to fulfill her responsibilities as vocational manager. And Kathleen's worked with us for many years. She's worked over at Job Corps and back over here. So Kathleen is the person you'd contact on the vocational during this time period. And during this time period, because of all of the people out in our summer program, Barbara Worley was one of our managers, and she opted to go back to Stillwell full-time because she cares for her brother, who is a paraplegic, and she couldn't devote the number of hours that are associated with being in the management role, and she couldn't work over in Tahlequah during that time period. So she opted to go back to Stillwell and work full-time so she could be over there near her brother. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it, unless y'all have any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Diane. All right, next up we have Anna Knight with Commerce.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We had last month our site visit from our funder on the SEED program, and that went very well. We also, the SEED kids finished their business, their Raising Spirits business or Rising Spirits business. They ended up netting about $600 after they bought all their inventory. They do still have some inventory left, so we will work with them next year to create either the same program or sell a different product line, but to create a business that they can generate some income to put into their savings accounts. We also closed on the first assumable mortgage loan for the Housing Authority last week in Salisaw. And the Housing Authority is administering that program, and we're working with them. The people that go into the assumable mortgage program have to go through financial education that our self-sufficiency counselors work with them on budgeting and repairing their credit so that at the end of their 3 years that they're eligible or that they're able to obtain a mortgage loan at a good interest rate. In the Small Business Assistance Center, 3 loans were approved this last month. One was an IRP loan for $250,000, and it was DTS Communications. They employed 6 people in there and prior. We had 2 ICDBG microenterprise loans totaling $35,000. One was Willis Realty for $25,000. They employed 3 full-time people and prior. And then Russell Mobile Home Services for a $10,000 loan. They employed 2 full-time, 5 part-time, and they're in Tahlequah. We are also working with Blue Cross and Blue Shield to develop to hold health insurance workshops for tarot vendors and for Indian-owned businesses, describing the insurance options, health insurance options that they have through Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and also talking about the state of Oklahoma's OEPIC program, which actually helps small business owners pay insurance premiums for their employees, trying to encourage these small employers to obtain health insurance for their employees. And then the last thing that I have is just on the Sequoia Adair Cherokee County Empowerment Zone Board.
Mr. Baker has a question.
On that insurance, do we get a special rate? Do we get...
There's a special rate for chamber members. That's the product that Blue Cross Blue Shield has, and so that's the product that they're going to be promoting, and that actually gives them group rates based on a large section of the country. There's part of it is in Oklahoma City and part of it's in northeastern Oklahoma, based out of Tulsa. So most of our people will fall into the group rate for northeastern Oklahoma, which
we just have them join the chamber and
right. And in many instances, they can join their local chamber and be eligible for that product. And then the OEPIC program is money that the state has from the smoking, the tobacco tax, and it's to offset insurance premiums, and very few people access that program, so the state's really trying to put a push. And it's for employees that they're trying to raise it to 200% of the poverty level. So employees that meet a household income level are eligible to offset their costs with this state fund. So in essence, it can really reduce it. My only problem with it is that it's a benefit for employers that are employing low-income people, so they're not paying them a lot to begin with. But it helps at least reduce some of the health insurance costs and hopefully encourages them to provide this benefit to their employees.
Okay, thank you.
The Sequoia Adair Cherokee County Empowerment Zone Board, they are working. What they've done is they've went to all the different communities in those 3 counties, in Cherokee, Adair, and Sequoia counties, and they're updating their community profiles. We actually helped fund the Cherokee Nation. You guys approved an appropriation to help fund the position of a part-time executive director for this group, and it is a regional economic development group. They're also looking at inviting the southern half of Delaware County to join in the organizations that they have a very comprehensive regional economic development approach. And this gentleman that has been contracted with them, Terry Heilig, he actually is, he's working with potential business sites, and he's working with current business owners in these areas. And hopefully sometime later this summer we'll be able to give you a full report on exactly what this group has done with the funding that we've given them, and what they've accomplished to impact economic development. And if no one has any questions, then I'll turn it over to Alice, and she'll give you the Tarot, the One-Stop Center report.
Have any questions? Okay. Thank you, Anna.
Basically, just wanted to let you know that on Cherokee Nation Acquisition Management, we do have the data now for October and November, so everybody is all caught up on that. Basically, that's the rest of the information, that's the numbers that were reported to me.
Someone have a question?
She heard me talking to Buell.
Okay.
But yeah, the Cherokee Nation construction management under CNI is extremely low, especially compared to our other entities. Even home health.
And they did report to me that they will be having some bigger bid contracts go out in this next month, I believe is what they told me.
What about home health? What are they doing proactively?
Sure. Right now, I basically just gather their numbers and put them in here until I get a chance to visit with them to find out. Because I know on these new working models, I don't even know if they're going to be able to report in a better manner or not. I'm hoping so.
Can we get a written report from both of them on what they're going to actively do to increase their numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next report will be C&E Tarot, Mr. Sean Slayton. Good morning.
Good morning. As far as Taro goes, I think on our projects, I think everything's moving along according to plan, and appreciate all the effort Ed puts forth to help us with that. I know it's a big job, and his office and his group of every time we've needed some help or need some questions answered according to all the construction people, they're Johnny on the spot, and it really helps keep that process moving. So we really appreciate the efforts they're making to help us with this issue.
Yes, Ms. Watts?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What allows AARC to decline from providing subcontractor data to us?
I don't know. They just said that they weren't, so I've got to call Eduardo and say, Eduardo, come on. Probably just...
I assume they like to do business with us, right?
Well, they do, but they're not. They're going on the excluded list, so this is their last gig with us.
Thank you.
And part of that is due to that plus other things too, but we'll continue to try to get that, and I don't know how the request went to him and how that was received up there. So they just could have called somebody and that person had a bad day and say, hey, we're not doing that. So
thank you for your candor.
We'll see. In terms of the projects, I'll just kind of update you a little bit on the status of that. We had the issue with some of the footings there at the parking garage. That solution has been presented. We had a third-party independent engineering firm review that proposal. They're in agreement. They had a few questions that they wanted answered. I think those have been answered, and today I think is the day that they were going to get moving on that, and it was a pretty easy fix for it.
Mr. Baker has a question.
Did they miss the elevation or did it sink?
It sunk.
Okay.
And I can go into a lot of detail if you want that, but just on a high level explanation, the garage was designed, and it was designed to carry a foundation that was spread shallow and wide. A lot of concrete cost had really gone up. We had Matrix Odell give a peer review on that. They made a suggestion that we look at what would the cost be if we went deeper with the foundation and supported more weight on the quarters as opposed to pouring all that concrete out this way laterally. They went back and looked at that and said, yeah, the engineer did, we can do that. And they had some soils reports. What they missed was that lateral load was to support 4,500 pounds per square inch. When they redid the drawings to put columns in, they didn't take into account that weight wouldn't bear on 4,500 psi. It needed 10,000, and that soil was another 8 feet to 10 feet down. And so the drawings got stamped 4,500. Everybody built to that, and then you had 10,000 pounds on 4,500 soil. That's a simple explanation. It gets, all the fingers get to pointing in the deal, but essentially it's not going to cost us any money for the delays and the fixes and the studies. They're going to pay for that. The only thing we're going to be out is a little more concrete, and that's because that's what we would have paid if we originally had built what they had designed. So, but they replaced one of the footings, and then these other 3 or 4, I believe, they'll apply the fix that everybody's recommended. Yeah. And we had a third party review it so that we made sure that 30 years from now that thing wasn't going to sink due to some design flaw just to get out of it cheap and quick or something like that. So, and everybody's in agreement that's the right fix. The travel, and that will open in June. The travel plaza's coming along. If you happen to have some time, you can stop in there. The inside of the building should be turned over to us within the next 3 weeks. We'll begin bringing in all of our merchandise. We are hoping that by Memorial Day we're pumping diesel and gas in there. Maybe not all of the site work will be done. We've turned some of that, pulled that back from ARC and gave that to Flintco to put in to their scope of work on the casino expansion. But I think that's going to be nice and something that you're proud of. It'll have a subway and some other things in there that I think will be a nice draw for the highway traffic. West Siloam's moving along. They've let go several of the bid packages. I think one of the Terrell vendors got the curb and gutter package. They packaged that to where it could be bid and a Terrell vendor get that. And I think everybody's happy with that. And then at Catoosa, we're still in the design phase. We are relocating that south road around the edge of the pond, and that work will start soon. We've been contacted by ODOT. They came out and they've staked the right-of-way for that interchange work. And we understand that's going to begin in the next 2 or 3 years. That's all I have. If there are some questions, I'll try to answer those.
Does anyone have any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Sean. Okay, next up will be Steve, but I think Mr. Collins is here to give the CNI Terra report.
Good morning. Morning. So I haven't seen you guys in a while. So.
I know you weren't missing.
Consolidated the reports that you were getting to one page so that you could have it right there as a little more simple guide. The major projects that we have. Koya High School gym. You had a 32% spent with Taro. It's somewhere in that 98-99% completed range. We lack about a week to maybe a week and a half to have the punch list completed, and then we'll be sitting down with the owners and the architects and submitting those last pay applications. Muskogee Clinic.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Excuse me. Mr. Baker has a question.
Yeah, I'm so confused on this, Jim.
Okay.
The total budget approval was $8,700,000.
Yes.
And you spent 9.4. How do you do that? Or how do you how are you expecting to I mean, is CNI just going to lose the difference? Or I mean, we don't have budget authority to pay $9 million for it.
Well, it's still an area that we're working on hard. I've got accounting in there. They're supposed to give me final numbers. They're going back. I got Sharon Bertram with internal audit looking at it, and we're going back through all the pay apps. We're going back through all of the costs. The 9.4. What I'm reporting is based upon what my knowledge is as today. This project, let's be honest with you, the project was from the standpoints of how it was managed and how it was performed, there's definitely areas of improvements. And we're making those improvements and making those steps. I would hope that C&I would not be in a losing proposition on a project for the nation. And I don't think that would be very fair.
Well, I don't either, but it's not very fair for you to say that you can build it for X number of dollars and it run, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 over without a change order or a. I couldn't do business that way.
We're going to sit down. Like I say, the biggest thing was to get the job completed, get occupancy, and was the number one concern. Getting right now for me is getting the punch list done, getting out of there, so that they can have full occupancy applied for. We're going to go back through all the change orders. We're going to, like I say, we're going to audit the entire. I don't want to sit here and tell you it's 9.4, but it might be 9.4. It might be 9.5.
Does the 9.4 include your supposedly 10% profit?
Yes.
So, in essence, you could walk away with just making nothing, and we're not over budget.
Possible. I don't want to sit here and make subjective findings. I want to get the facts.
Well, and I understand that, but we've been looking at these numbers for almost 3 months.
I know.
And I figured we would have something a little bit more worked out or figured out or something by this late day.
It's taken a lot more time. It's been a lot more work and a lot more time digging into it and getting all the files, getting all the documents, putting the chronological history together. We hired another accountant just to do this. This is a full-time job right now for 2 or 3 people going through this, and they've been working on it diligently. I don't want to, when I come to you and say, hey, here's what the final number is, it's going to be after, sitting down and getting it all laid out and saying, this is what the final number is. And sitting down with the owner, sitting down with the architect, looking over any type of potential errors and omissions, looking at any type of rework, looking at what the contracts are, and then coming up and trying to have a conclusion to this. It's a beautiful building. It serves its purpose. I think there was a lot of potential change orders that were in place, that the existing management that was in place at that time was doing the job, putting it together, thinking it was going to be under budget, and it wasn't. I can't speak on past management. All I can do is try to fix the existing problem.
And basically, if we have any other questions regarding the budget, we can address that in executive and finance.
Yes.
So does anyone have any other questions regarding the tarot aspect of this report? Mr. King, did you have a question or comment?
Just a very brief comment. Brian, just wants you to know that it supports you in what you're doing and that you inherited that problem. And that you're a very ethical person and that you'll review all the facts and let us know.
Yes.
I know that you're making the improvements. That's all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The Muskogee Clinic is still on track for the completion date. And as you can see there, I know when you see the numbers, you're going to see that the approved budget and the estimated total cost is that the owner's not, since the budget was changed, we're still waiting on the owner to provide us a new scope and or if there's any amendment to the budget. And we give them notice, and part of that process now is identifying it early enough to advise the owner of the situation. So they are aware. Nowata Clinic, And again, as you drop down, you can see the dollars spent on Terrell. We'll go back to Muskogee, it's 2%. And as we've mentioned several times in this meeting, that because of the size of the job, the bonding, that we were not able to have Terrell vendors that were capable of doing some of the work, but it has been subcontracted down to Terrell vendors. As you can see, there's 39 Native Americans on site working. Was the last that we had told.
Yes, Ms. Watts.
The statistics provided for the percentage of Terrell vendors used and then the number of Native American employees on site doesn't correlate.
That's right.
So if we've done any analysis on why that's occurring like that?
Say it again on the...
Okay, so there's 2%, okay, on the Muskogee project,
dollars spent.
27% of the project's been completed,
Right.
with only 2% of the 27% utilized with Terra vendors, but yet we have 39 Indians, natives on site.
Right.
But then we have much bigger numbers that seem to be attractive to all of us on numbers used for Terra vendors, which are supposed to be Indian-owned and use Indian employees, but we only have a few Native Americans on site at those construction sites. So it doesn't match for me.
Okay. Well, I mean,
And I don't.
it's as of on site right now, pretty much.
Okay,
It's not.
so those are.
It's not like that as through production. I mean, through construction, you may have 100 guys or 50 people and 10. Right now, snapshot March. If you went out to the sites, this would be the approximate number we would find. This is the number that's been provided to me by the site superintendents, Native Americans.
We need like a number overall that's been to the site versus. Like,
The impacted. What's
like, is it 2 of 100 or is it 2 of 5? Because that's a big difference to me.
okay?
But that by itself is kind of alarming. It doesn't paint the picture that.
It's going to change, though. It's kind of a, where do you reach out and grab it and say this is what the number is today versus 2 weeks from now? It's as subcontractors are engaged and leave the job site.
Maybe we need some different perspective on it because those numbers in by themselves are misleading. I like the numbers. I like to have them. I think they're very interesting and tell me something. But maybe there needs to be different perspective on it
Right.
and put it in.
Okay.
Because them by themselves just alarm me.
Yeah, it was basically a phone call to the site and saying how many Native Americans do we have today for the report. So to do more of a tracking analysis of who's been on site and what the impacted dollars are, it's going to take a little more work to get there. Because if you drop on down, what we do have there in the very bottom number is employees or the labor force of the construction group. If we have anybody working, now that labor dollars are strictly our division.
Because,
forced to count.
like, we had, it was decisions that neither of us necessarily cared for, but the decision to go with the general contractor we did on Muskogee, for example. Okay, but it seems like they could, what those numbers, just without talking to you, tell me is that we have gotten that contractor to utilize the job bank through Taro.
Yes.
But yet we're not asking our Taro vendors, and I don't think this is all Taro's deal to do. I mean, I assumed when CNI took ownership of construction management that they would be helping a layer for Taro and making those Taro vendors also use our job bank.
I think what you're probably wanting is you're wanting to see the number of employees that are on that project and then break it out as to how many are Carolyn and how many are Native American.
Okay.
Because bear in mind, you could have Native Americans working for some of these other contractors that may not be Terrell certified.
Mm-hmm.
They would fall into that category. But what you basically do is show it for the number of labor in the labor force and break it out in each cities. So that way you get the whole picture.
Yeah. Well, I think on the Muskogee, when it came up, because it was such a low number, that's when we started trying to figure out how are we impacting Cherokees. And then, so we just kind of broadened it and said, well, what's going on at the other sites today? More so than getting in and doing an in-depth analysis. So,
Because Taro ownership by itself is somewhat superficial to me.
okay.
Because we can have Indian-owned companies that don't employ Indian people. So our job is not just to do percentage of dollars spent with tarot vendors, but also the compliance with the depth of the tarot law. Saying, do those tarot vendors employ properly their Indian people? Because you can have exceptions for your core crew, but then after that, they're also supposed to pay those permit charges, and we don't want to see them using, labor from down south. We don't want to see them using, non-Indian labor at all. They also need to be complying with tarot preference and using the job bank, because that's why I send my constituents to the job bank, is so that they will also use them. But you guys are on site all the time, and our tarot staff can't be. So I would assume we're all working towards the depth and pushing that down.
I'll see if I can't broaden this out a little bit more to show overall impact of sub-tier suppliers and total number of employees and what that relationship is of Native Americans. Not so much even if they are tarot certified or not. I'll see if I can't get into a little bit more in depth.
Because if not, they're supposed to be paying our work permits and stuff.
Yeah.
That would help a lot.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Keener, do you have a question? No? Okay. Oh, you were waving. Okay.
The No Water and Salisal Clinic are still on time and on budget, and should be wrapping up the No Water in June and the Salisal Clinic in April. Again, there you have a spent with tarot of 65%, 71%. The casino is complete. The last pay applications have been submitted. So this will be the last that we report on the Cowsball Casino. The one-stop shop, their report, again, where it's reflecting, I'm going to dig into that where it shows the 1% spent on tarot. I'm going to analyze that a little bit because a lot of that goes into relationship as to where the projects are and at what level of completion they're at. So I can see as the high school gym being 98%, 99% done, and the casino being done, and they were both high. And as things are moving more so that the dollars being spent on the Muskogee Clinic, that it's not showing up where the dollar flow is. So I'll try and do a little more reporting on showing how the overall, how it's impacting the Cherokee cell and Native Americans. Okay. Any other questions?
You may have anything else? Thank you, Mr. Collins. Okay, next up on old business, after repealing and superseding Cherokee Nation law regarding labor and employment rights ordinance and declaring an emergency for discussion, and I believe that is not yet ready to be presented. Todd has asked that this item be tabled to next month. Have a motion to table. Have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Under new business, we have none. Announcements. Next meeting date will be Tuesday, April 17th at 10 a.m. Motion to adjourn with a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
That's what co-chair.